When I first got into this, I was just bowled over by how complex it is. The whole thing around housing. I mean, the essence of the problem in Encinitas is not only its historical problem with redlining and racist covenants, but also the fact that in the last 8 years, if you built enough affordable housing to match the demand as far as growth goes in Encinitas, you need almost 1,000 units. But what have we built in Encinitas? 94. So we're almost 900 units short of what the demand is. And if we keep going at the present rate, in another 8 years, we'll be 2,000 units short. This doesn't just hurt people with low incomes. It hurts every people with middle class incomes too, because it drives up home prices for everyone and rental prices for everyone. The problem is how to fix that. Well, you've got to get involved in the muck of housing laws and housing regulations. And one of the things I discovered was to find out about all that is extremely difficult. So what we're trying to accomplish with this section of our website is a couple of things. One is, if you are new to housing, you've got somewhere to go immediately. And that's this first section here, where you can get on our mailing list. We have here how to be an effective housing advocate, even if you're just getting into it. Ways to define the crisis in Encinitas, the definitions in housing, how to understand the housing laws, and how to deal with arguments against housing. And we also have information on how to deal with both the city and the county, which are both involved in this housing struggle. Not just how to make written and public comments, but tips about speaking and exactly how to do it. Now, let's say you think, oh, this is something I really want to get involved with. Well, then we've got a whole section on the information in one place you really need to know to be an effective advocate, because you don't want to get in front of a city council meeting and just talk in generalities and not really know what you're talking about. So this section of our website will really give you a background and a much more thorough understanding of what all the issues are in housing. Of course, we have our mission and our vision. We also have some really good article on the history of Encinitas from the 1600s to the present day, specifically from a housing point of view, the redlining, the restrictive covenants. In the section on housing in Encinitas today, we've got some presentations, a presentation by Bob Kent that really explains the problem in detail. And we've also got a link to the housing element for Encinitas. This section on the housing crisis is a really good one. We've selected some of the best articles on the crisis in San Diego County, but also, I don't know if you all saw this, when John Oliver did almost an hour long segment on housing in America and how it contributed to the gap in generational wealth with BIPOC people. Really excellent presentation. We've got a section here on how to be an effective advocate. This is in the first section, but we also have advice on how to get involved with city and county policy making, how to evaluate new proposals, and of course, how to join our housing committee. We don't want to leave developers out of the process. Excuse me. My grandson gave me my first cold in 2 years. So I have to drink water. We believe that developers have a very important role to play. We are in the process of defining objective criteria by which to look at a new project in Encinitas. There are about 16 of them on the drawing boards now. And all these projects include generally around 15 to 20% affordable housing units. But we don't want to just look at the percentage of affordable units. We want to look at how they dealt with the community, how they're trying to mesh with, if they are trying to mesh with our vision and for the Encinitas as a whole. We've also got some of the most relevant local and national news items on the housing issue in general. We don't want to print here every news item, but these are ones that have really affected the whole struggle for housing overall. We have a whole page, of course, on the arguments against affordable housing. For example, how affordable housing will destroy the community character. What our answer to that would be. The idea that housing will destroy green spaces. And we have a whole bunch of them here where we formulated our position on these things so that we can be effective speakers in city council, we can write effective emails, we can campaign for housing much more effectively. Lastly, we have a resources section. We can't define every definition, but we've got a page that defines some of the most common definitions you'll find in the housing struggle. We've got a section on great books and videos on the housing element. There's The Color of Law, which on a national basis, probably one of the best books you can read on just the whole history of housing. And then a lot of other resources, some national. This one, Potholes, Parks, and Politics, is a great resource, how to get involved locally. So we haven't attempted to put every book here, but enough to get you started and really knowledgeable on this. And lastly, of course, we have all the resources you could go to in the city, in the county, in California, and national to get housing help. Now, our website it's not quite public yet. It'll be public in about 10 days or so. And I put my email in there. If you'd like to be notified when it is public, I'll let you know by email. But we're well on the way to having a great resource for anyone who really wants to get involved in the housing struggle. Thank you.
And Patricia, would love to have you tell us a little bit about Teresa and Tom that we just heard from.
Thank you. I was so disappointed. Okay. So Karibu, Teresa Beauchamp, housing co-head, a 33 resident of Encinitas, is recently retired physician assistant who saw the increasingly negative impact of the skyrocketing cost of housing in Encinitas on her patients and medical staff's well-being. She is now spending her retirement as a full-time grassroots activist, working for racial, reproductive, and social justice with several organizations. Her main focus now is to remove past and current barriers to their BIPOC neighbors' ability to live in Encinitas and to help create a community that is more diverse. Teresa has a master's degree in urban planning from UCLA. She believes strongly in creating accessible housing for everyone. That's awesome. Asante Sama. Tom. For the first 2 decades of his adult life, Tom Scott, housing co-lead, was a community organizer. That sounds familiar. In his 40s and 50s, he became an entrepreneur and then a top-level executive in a large private firm, earning his MBA from Vanderbilt along the way. After moving to Encinitas in 1995, he became a software consultant and an abstract photographer. Although retired for several years now, Tom believes everyone, no matter what their age, can participate in the fight for diversity and racial equity. I agree 100%.
Okay, and now we're going to move to our education groups.
So, may I
Patricia,
first
I'm
introduce
so
Dahlia?
sorry. I have to say this because right before you introduced me, you asked me how I wanted to be introduced as either a Black man or African American. And I got to tell you this really quickly. I have always, as a child, I despised being called Black because I would tell my Caucasian dad, the street is Black, Dad. I'm brown. I'm brown and you're peach. I'm brown, you're peach, you're not white, I'm not Black. Fast forward to about 6 months ago, and I had a podcast daily, and I had a very good friend of mine who's from England, African-American guy, but he's from England. He said, I'm not African-American, Lydell. I'm English. I'm Black. And so are you. So I just wanted to leave with that. I know that there's a lot of controversy about Latinx or Latin, Black, African-American. I'm Black, and I think that it's the right way to say it. So yeah, I wanted to say that.
Okay, and now we'll move on to our education group. Patricia.
I think she's frozen.
Yes, I think so too.
Did I break Patricia? Sorry.
Looks like she hopped off. Maybe she'll come back on.
Okay, I'll do the introduction because we do need to move on. We want to make sure that everybody is heard. Dahlia Balmir, DEI and strategy consultant, is a first generation multilingual Haitian American woman of color who grew up in the Midwest. Dahlia's journey has been about navigating multiple experiences, embracing her own differences, and expecting equitable treatment and access, which has been a fluid journey that reflects in her life and work. As a self-identified disruptor, Dahlia challenges us all to think beyond what is considered the norm and authentically explore solutions from multiple perspectives and lenses. Kathy Stenger, who is going to be speaking with Dahlia, Equity and Education co-lead, teaches middle school humanities at a small Montessori school where she works intentionally to diversify her curriculum and engage students in thinking about hard history. A longtime resident of Encinitas and the mother of 3 children, 2 of whom are in the San Diego School District, she joined E4E Education to help ensure that all our community students experience equity and diversity in their education. Kathy holds a BA from Boston College and an MA from UCLA in art history. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Hi, thank you. Dahlia is going to start us off.
Okay. All right. Great. So thank you. Hi, Kathy. How are you doing?
I'm good, Dahlia. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too. And really a pleasure being here. So I guess I'll just give a little bit of background. Thank you for the introduction. I was thinking about what is like Lydell said earlier about, is that me? It's really, really great when you're like listening to other people speak to who you are. And first and foremost, I'm very much a disruptor, which is I feel why I gravitate towards the work that I do. And I am originally from Haiti. I grew up here in the US. and my family and my mother, father, myself, and my younger sister immigrated to Detroit, Michigan, is where I grew up. And then I moved out to San Diego about 16 and a half years ago and have made a home for myself here.